Pedro from A&P-REACTS. I'm here today with Aarran from Shrapnel. How's it going today?
Hey man, how's it going? Yeah, it's really hot. It's super warm in England at the moment right now. Not that we can go outside, but I'm enjoying the view from my window. So it's all good. It's all good. How about you?
Not bad, not bad. The sun is also shining here. Perhaps not as hot as there. I see you're wearing a tank top. I'm still wearing a
Yeah,
t-shirt.
man.
So,
Yeah, tank top and shorts, the only way to go.
yeah, but the weather's definitely having a turn for the better. The summer seems to be just around the corner.
Good. Awesome. Awesome.
So Shrapnel released a brand new album, Pallets for the Insane, May 15th. And before we get started on the album and talking about this record, I want to start by asking you, how did the opportunity for you to join the band and play bass came about?
Okay, so that's a bit of a weird one. So I've known the guys from Shrapnel for 10 years now, from my previous bands and my previous things in the scene. But I got asked to fill in for a tour for them when they toured with Wolf and Primitai, Wolf from Sweden. So I said, yeah, no worries. So we did 11 dates with Wolf, started at Hammerfest in Wales and finished somewhere else. But yeah, at that sort of time, the bassist at the time wasn't too sure what he wanted to do, whether he wanted to leave because he was at university. And the singer as well was a bit, Jay was a bit up in the air, and I have massive respect for Jay, and I completely understand why he has left in regards to work and things like that. And they asked me to fill in for a tour with Gamma Bomb. I said, okay, yeah, I'll do it. And then they said, will you join? And I said no. At first I said no. I was really hesitant because I'm a guitarist by nature. I'm not a bass player. But they took me to the pub plenty of times and got me really drunk, and eventually I said yes. So yeah, that's how. So it was they used alcohol.
I was going to say they pound you to submission with drinks.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, really. I didn't have to pay for a beer for a while. It was good.
Hey, whatever works for both of you. I guess this is what they call a win-win situation. They got who they wanted, and you got the drinks.
Yeah, man, exactly. And I got to front a band again, which is what I love doing. And when I was growing up, because I'm younger than the other guys, 5 years younger. So, I looked up to Shrapnel as a teenager and things like that when they were first starting. Yeah, it was great. It was kind of a dream come true for me, really. I'm very humble.
So you joined the band, you did that tour with them, and well, you joined the band after you did that tour with them. So there was a little bit of an easier integration period, if you will, because at least you've been on the road with them, or was it?
Yeah, no, we've always got on as people in general, and of course we all love thrash. We all mix in different ways. So me and Chris absolutely fanboy over bands like Rush and like 70s stuff. Me and Nathan are really into extreme metal as well. So we all have like this sort of gel. It just gels so well as people and as musicians, and we all feed off each other. It's great. So when I was on tour, it was really easy going, and I just fitted in straight away. There was no awkwardness or anything. So, yeah, it's great.
So the time now comes for you guys to work on a brand new record. The pressure is on for you. Your first record with the guys. How was the approach that you guys took as far as this record is concerned?
So Chris and Nathan originally wrote a whole album together, and it was all a lot of mid-paced sort of almost Metallica Load and Reload era stuff. And when I joined and they were like, yeah, let's record an album, I was like, I'm not recording that, man. No way. It's just like, for me, it's not what I would enjoy. And then we all sort of got our heads together, and when we worked on it together, there was just something about it. It was something fruitful. It gelled really well, and it was amazing. But I was really nervous, really, really nervous. It's the first time I've sung in 6 years. Was on this album, so yeah. But it turned out great. Apparently, it's getting great reviews. So
did you guys work a lot of the kinks even before heading into the studio, or was more of the work done once you guys were getting ready to record?
Okay, so you could call us lazy in a way, or maybe that's just how we prefer to work. But so a lot of, there were some kinks ironed out before going into the studio, seeing how it actually feels to play it in like a rehearsal room, etc., like most bands do. But we also get a lot of ideas in the studio. So we'd be like halfway through recording a song or doing a vocal track, and it'd be like, oh, have you thought about trying this, extending the range there, doing this? So with recording, we like to attack it in the studio, which obviously costs more money, but
Yeah.
it's a lot more. You get a better sound. There's more to it.
You said that the guys already had like a load reload style album. So did you guys work based on those songs, or did you guys create brand new songs altogether, or maybe a mixture of both?
It's a mixture of both. So some of those made it in. Some of the riffs made it in. So some of the more groovy stuff, like on "Turn Out the Lights," which actually nearly didn't make it on the album. Yeah, some of that stuff was already written. But most of the stuff we worked on sort of together in the studio or pre-recording or, recording demos. And the song "The Mace" was actually written in a hotel room. So, yeah.
you guys, when you look at the final product, you don't realize that there was all that tumultuous activity happening beforehand, because the album feels to me like it was very well thought out, very well crafted, very well put together, perhaps with one exception, and we'll talk about that later on. But overall, it doesn't, like, if I didn't hear this from you by listening to the record, I would never get to that conclusion just by listening to the album.
No, I mean, a lot of people have said the same thing. It is crafted. We did when we got to demoing and actually sitting down in a group of us and meeting up, having drinks and writing the music properly, rather than just it being throwaway demos, etc. We did craft it. We did really work hard on it. I mean, this album took us 4 months to record, and everything was down to the point. We were listening to it every night, back and forward with the sound engineer. Can we tweak this? Can we do this? Can we even re-record some of this? And even down to 5 days before sending it off to the label, it was like, okay, so begin again. It was like, this needs like a piano part. It needs something at the beginning. It needs a like swell. So even down to the last 5 days, we were still working on that album before it was getting ready to be printed, basically.
And I hate to use the word mature, but the album sounds a lot more mature. It sounds like you guys perhaps found the right combination of parts, the right combination of songs in order to put an album out that really showcases the band and everything the band can do.
Yeah, that's what we tried to do. We didn't want it to be. We knew we could write 10 thrash songs easy. That's what we can do. That's what we all love. We spent 10 or so years listening to thrash. Just 16th notes on an E string is easy. But what we wanted to write was something that people will remember. People can remember the words, catchy, hum to it, and hooks. We really wanted hooks in this album, and yeah, we achieved that, I think. So that's pretty cool.
Do you feel that, and perhaps this is not a fair question to ask you because I'm putting you on the spot, but do you feel like do you feel like vocally your addition to the band increases the range of what the band can do with their tracks, where they can go with their songs, and they're not necessarily, you're not pigeonholed into one way of approaching every single track?
Yes and no. So I have massive respect for Jay, the singer before, and I absolutely love the second album, Race on Decay. I think his voice is phenomenal on that. But what Jay could do was Jay, and that was it. He wasn't too into experiment and things like that. And when I get in a studio, yeah, there might be some arguments about it, and I might say, oh, I don't really want to do that, but I'll always give it a go. And if it turns out better, then it turns out better. I wouldn't necessarily say I've brought something better to the album. I'd just say I've brought something different. So
I think that's a fair take.
Yeah,
I agree, but that different, in my opinion, it allows you guys to try different things on the sound side of the tracks, because you can experiment a little bit more, you can push the tracks a little bit more, you can expand on the sound a little bit more. And going into the sound, talking about the guitars, I felt that the guitars were super dynamic on the album. They had such a robust, thick sound to them. Perfect partner to your vocals. Do you agree?
I do agree, and that's something that Nath was really happy that you mentioned in your review, Nathan Chris, because he's very particular about the guitar sound he wanted. And sort of like, even after the album was recorded and released, he was still sort of like, oh, I'm not too sure about the guitar sound. Sam done a great job as well. The engineer, Sam Turbett, is brilliant. And yeah, but when he heard you say the guitars, I sort of like gave him a lift, because he's a very sort of like anxious, nervous guy in a way. He likes to hear things so that he doesn't consume his own mind with thoughts. But we that's what we wanted. We wanted the guitars and the vocals to take this album to to a new level. So
definitely the two partners. I think we all agree on that. That on this record, I really feel that the guitar sound and the vocals are really the two moving pieces, the two drivers, if you will, of how the album progresses from track to track. They just like partner it up. On one song, you have tracks that are more guitar driven. On another song, you have the vocals kind of take the lead. But they're always hand in hand through the whole process.
Yeah, and that's if anything, that's kind of like your thrash bread and butter, isn't it? You know, thrash is a very guitar-driven music, and you know, in a lot of modern thrash and some of the, you know, I'd say the new wave, sometimes the vocals do get forgotten about. So we really wanted to make sure they were together on this.
Yeah, I think that's what gives you guys on this record a little bit of that old school thrash sound, but still feels modern. Is that ability that you guys had to merge those two? Was that important for you guys? Like, do you want to have a modern sound to the band, but also still continue with the roots of the more old school thrash approach?
Yeah, definitely. Like with certain tracks, we were like, what do we want this track to sound like? What do we want it to be? And we were just like, Exodus. We want this to be like Exodus because we love Exodus. But then, in a way, we have to move with the times. You know, a lot more bands, especially thrash bands, some of the older bands are now down-tuning, you know, a full step, and you've got a lot lower sound. And I don't know. It's difficult. It's a difficult one because it's going to be modern anyway because of the recording techniques and things, and that will give it a modern sound. But we're still pretty stuck in our roots. So, in the 80s.
Was there a specific track that gave you guys a little bit of a hard time in the studio? Close enough to not making it, or close enough for you guys to have to go into the bar and have a drinking binge just to kind of get over the hump?
Yeah, there was, I would say there was 2, 3 tracks maybe. So Turn Off the Lights, which you said is probably one of your favorite tracks, or an anthem you called it, that nearly didn't make it at all. So when I
was very disappointed.
So when those guys, they done something really cheeky actually. So when they went to the studio to record the drums, the sound engineer was like listening through the demos and going, okay, and he got to this one track and he was just like, "Are you really recording this?" And we were like, "Yeah," and he's just like, "It's rubbish," and we were like, "Oh, okay." And then they put forward Turn Off the Lights, and he was like, "Yes, that has to be on the album. Why is this not a thing?" They didn't even tell me and Chris that they'd recorded it. So we got up, you know, oh, it's time to record the album. Oh, this one's on it. When did that happen? Yeah, so Violence Now Forever, it was between that and another track, which is going to be released as a bonus track, the other one, because it's still ripping. So that didn't make it. Apart from that, no, we're pretty solid on everything. It's just the evolution in the studio is where it really, really takes form. So it's always a bit edgy. The demos were awful to some of them.
Yeah. And I mean, I think for you guys, getting it, you're so immersed into the music that you're creating that it's going to be very hard for you during that process to take a step back and be very analytical about it, because I'm sure at a point in time you start second guessing yourself through the whole process.
If there's still stuff now that I would change. If you get definitely we'll listen to it and we'll be like, oh, we could have done that, oh, we could have done this, but if you do that you go insane. So it is what it is, and if people love it, they love it, and you know, people are loving it, so it's great. But I don't want to go insane, so I try not to think about it too much.
I'm having a feeling that if the studio doors were still open, you probably would like somehow make yourself a track in there, and then later on you guys would re-release the release as a remastered release, if you will.
I mean, if we did that, we'd be doing that forever. So we'll leave that one.
I know you and I talked about this as far as the track listing is concerned. That to me was my own like pet peeve of the album. And you sent me a message asking me, okay, if you could put your track listing together, how would you do it? And then I sent you back the track listing that I thought. And to me, this I really want to make sure this is clear. It doesn't take anything away from the record as far as how strong the album is. It's just the fluidity from track to track, in my opinion, would have slightly changed. Now that you've had some time to think about it, what are your thoughts on the track listing and what I had said on my review?
Okay, so that's a very like mixed opinion. We've got some people love the track listing, some people are like, yeah, it can be worked on. It's something that the guys struggled with before. I mean, on the last album, they struggled with the track listing, and we really paid attention to it this time. But we paid attention to it in a different way. We're like, okay, so from release of the first album, Virus Conspires, to this album, the music industry's changed. You know, streaming is a lot more of a thing. You know, buying digital music, etc. So we attacked it from that. We were like, how can we do this? Because not everybody's going to have heard of us, and they might want to listen to it on Spotify or something. How can we plan this for streaming sites? But yeah, the track listing could definitely be improved for CDs and live albums, I think. But we were struggling with that one, and that's the best we came up with, sort of thing. So,
hey, next time give me a call. It's free of charge.
Yeah, okay, cool, no worries, and you'll get a mention on the album as well, yeah.
I was gonna say, just have to buy me a beer. Like, I mean, buy me a beer next time I'm there, you know, and we call it even. But
no worries, you can do that.
But that's something that for a band these days, because back in the day, you were only concerned with the vinyl, and obviously later on with the tape and the CD and that kind of release.
Yeah.
Now you have to deal with streaming sites. You have to deal with all of that aspect of people buying songs individually and not even necessarily listening to the whole album in sequence. Yeah. I mean, they may listen to the album, but it may be like, you know, with songs not being in the right order, depending on how they have it on their playlist and on shuffle. Is that something that for you as a band now, you feel like you have to take that in consideration as part of the business now, understanding the different ways that people consume your music?
Definitely. So over the last year and a half, I would say since the guys dropped the last EP, Decade of Decimation, we have banded together, and Nathan especially, we've been working on how to build social media. How do we do this? Because that's all it is nowadays. No one really goes to a record store anymore. You know, record stores are closing all over the place. No one goes to a record store. They find it online. They think, okay, I'll have a listen to that first before I buy it. And they're well in their right to. And, you know, you have to attack it from a modern point of view, because it's not like it was in 2014 before streaming was big. You know, we can't just sit there and be like, buy the album. You know, here you go. People don't really do that anymore. So, yeah.
That's definitely an extra level of pressure for a band in order to succeed.
A big level of pressure, you know, and especially in the current climate, with no one being able to go outside, we needed to do this in a right way where, you know, people can get their hands on it, whatever.
Did you guys consider postponing the release date? A lot of bands have done that. Some haven't, but some bands did because of the current situation. Everybody has a different reason on why they didn't or on why they did. What was the thought process for you guys?
So we spoke to the label about this, and we discussed it with ourselves, and we said, you know, should we postpone the album? I think there's still been some releases, you know, Warbringer, Testament, Havoc, Black Dahlia Murder. They've all released albums in this quarantine sort of period. But in the end, we all agreed it was probably best, because, I mean, what can you do? If you can't tour it anyway, and with the current state of affairs, if we delayed it to October, there probably still won't be any touring or gigs. So what difference does it make, really?
Yeah, and at least right now people are stuck at home. They don't have anything to do, so they're going to listen to the album.
Hopefully, that's what we hope for.
That was the marketing genius at play. Like, you know, everybody's in the same boat. The good, I mean, if there's a silver lining, is that all bands are on the same boat on this. It's not like somebody's out there touring while you guys are stuck at home. Everybody's on the same boat. I see the both sides of the spectrum, but I think releasing the album now with people having the opportunity to just consume it because you're at home, you need something new, something fresh. I think that actually may end up helping these releases. It may put pressure on you guys to release something, maybe an EP or something down the road later in the year. Once the doors open up again, you can go back on the road and start touring.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we thought. You know, people are stuck at home. They've got nothing to do. They might as well listen to a new album. And if they like it, they'll buy it, and we'll ship it to them, or Amazon or whoever will ship it to them. With regards to a new EP, we're straight on an album already. They started. So that's what we're working on in quarantine.
All right, that's good. That's good to know. You guys are putting your time into a productive mode.
Yeah, we're sort of in the demoing phase at the moment. We've got a couple of things planned for this year. Like I said, we've got a bonus track and a cover that's coming out. But apart from that, straight back to it. No time to waste.
Any of the tracks that didn't make it into this record, are you guys thinking of perhaps modifying, tweaking them, and reusing them, or are you guys completely going to scrap those and that's the end of it?
So we've discussed this a lot, because Nathan has a plethora of music that he's recorded on his computer. And he's very against the idea of going back to something old when you could write something new and it could be better, instead of just settling on what's already been there. So no, we've got the bonus track, we've got the cover that's going to be being released. But apart from that, straight away, new start. The rest of it doesn't matter. No.
All right, what's in the past is in the past, and we move on.
Yeah.
And speaking of moving on and looking into the future, you guys have an new album out. Like I said, Palace for the Insane came out May 15th. No gigs, no ability to promote it in terms of playing, shows or tours or festivals. The festival season is over for the summer. I don't think there's one single festival out there that's going to be happening. At least not that I know of. Everything has been canceled. Bloodstock has been canceled. Everything has been canceled.
Yeah.
How are you guys thinking of approaching this as you move forward? Because the light at the end of the tunnel seems very... I don't think there's even a light at the end of the tunnel. Never mind what it looks like. So how are you guys thinking of approaching this? Are you guys thinking of doing some virtual shows, some playthroughs? How is it going to be for the band in terms of staying connected with the fans?
So playthroughs is definitely happening. We're actually doing interviews on our social media as well. So last week or the week before, we had Christian from Eccentrics on there. Next week, we've got somebody else. I won't tell you who it is. But yeah, so we are staying connected. We're trying to stay in the scene. And if it goes on for longer than we want it to, and we can't gig and we can't festival, then we'll attack that situation then. But hopefully by that time, we'll have a new album ready to release. So
there you go. It seems like you have a plan.
Yeah, kind of. Kind of.
It's a work in progress with a plan.
Yeah, definitely. It's always going to be a work in progress because nobody knows what's going on. So.
Yeah, that's true. And everybody's on the same boat. Well, Aarran, I want to thank you very much for your time today to chat with me about Shrapnel, about the new album, Palace for the Insane. For those that are watching us right now that haven't picked up the record, I highly recommend. Oh, the vinyl.
The vinyl.
Oh, that looks beautiful. Can you show us the vinyl?
Yeah, I can. So that's the front cover. The artwork is done by Costin Chirianu, who've done At the Gates, etc. The double gatefold.
Oh,
so you've got that.
Beautiful.
You've got a lyric sleeve and things like that. But the sexiest part is definitely...
that's what I want to see. Ooh! Oh my God, that is sexy.
Yeah, man. So we're really happy with that. That came out great. It was supposed to be bluer. It came out a bit greener, but what can you do?
It looks amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
It looks absolutely beautiful. What a beautiful vinyl. Well, congratulations, guys, on the great record, the great sound. I'm a huge thrash metal fan, so I really enjoyed this album. You guys kicked ass from the first track to the last track, and that's all you really want from a thrash metal album.
That's all you want, and it's completely gone over our heads how well it's done. It's blown everything we dreamed of out of the water. Contender for album of the year. I mean, we're just four guys from a little city in England. It's crazy, but thank you to everybody, and thank you to you as well.
Well, thank you to you for taking the time to chat with me about the record. I had a blast listening to the album. It's definitely going to stay on high rotation in my house because it's a kick-ass record. One of the best thrash metal albums of the year for sure. It really ranks really high as far as I'm concerned. So once again, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations on the record, and best of luck with the next album.
Thank you very much. See you soon, dude.
Take care.
Bye-bye.